He laughed at the question. One day before facing the greatest player alive, a reporter asked Murat Yakin how he plans to stop Lionel Messi. And instead of the careful, diplomatic answer everyone expected, the Swiss manager did something else entirely. He laughed and said, "This is a very surprising question." That's it. That's the moment breaking the internet right now. Not because it was rude, because of what it revealed. A coach one day from the biggest match of his career, so sure of himself that a question meant to rattle him only made him smile. But that wasn't even the most dangerous thing Murat Yakin said this week. Because 24 hours before that press conference, he looked at the reigning world champions, the team of Lionel Messi, and said the one word nobody expected a Swiss manager to say out loud. Vulnerable. Not dangerous, not the favorites, not a tough test. Vulnerable. Say that word about Argentina right now at this World Cup, and you're not being polite. You're throwing a punch. Here's why this moment matters so much. Switzerland have never reached a World Cup semi-final. Not once. They haven't even seen a quarter-final since 1954, as the host nation in their own country, and they still lost. 72 years of nothing. 72 years of watching other countries have this exact moment. And now, in Kansas City, that 72-year wait is on a collision course with a 39-year-old man who has scored 8 goals in 5 games at this tournament and is somehow still getting better. 72 years of silence. 8 goals in 5 matches. Read those two numbers side by side and they don't sound like a fair fight. They sound like a mismatch that was decided before the plane even landed. Yakin knows this. He is not blind to it. And that's exactly what makes what he did next so remarkable. He didn't do what every underdog coach is supposed to do. He didn't bow his head. He didn't play the grateful guest happy to share the same pitch as royalty. He looked directly at the world champions and told a room full of reporters, "You have cracks, and we found them. We're playing against the world champion. There's nothing better than having this opportunity. But it's also been clear, over the last 2 matches, that Argentina is vulnerable." Listen to the construction of that sentence. In the first half, he bows to Argentina's crown. In the second half, he takes a swing at it. Respect and defiance in the same breath, and he doesn't blink doing it. And here's the part that should worry Argentina fans watching this back. He's not wrong. Cape Verde, the smallest nation to ever reach a World Cup knockout stage, dragged the world champions into extra time before finally losing 3-2. Then Egypt did something that should have ended this tournament for Argentina completely. They led 2-0 with 10 minutes left on the clock. 10 minutes. Not 10 minutes at the start. 10 minutes from the finish line. If Messi hadn't conjured something from nothing in that final stretch, Argentina isn't defending anything in Kansas City this weekend. They're already home. Twice the world champions have stood one moment away from going out, and Murat Yakin has watched every second of both collapses. So when he says vulnerable, this isn't trash talk. This isn't a man inventing confidence for a headline. This is a coach who did his homework, watched the same tape everyone else watched, and simply refused to pretend he didn't see what was right in front of him. But then comes the sentence that separates a confident coach from a reckless one, the line that keeps this from tipping into arrogance. I think we've earned that respect, and we've worked for it. It's going to be an interesting tactical match. We can challenge the world champion. Not, we will win. Not, we're the better team. We can challenge them. 5 words. Not delusional enough to guarantee a result. Not timid enough to rule one out. Just brutally honest about exactly where the door might be cracked open. Because here's the whole philosophy in one line. Respecting Argentina does not mean fearing them. And admitting they're the champions does not mean admitting the outcome before a ball is kicked. Now go back to that laugh. To the reporter's question. How do you stop Messi? Because Yakin's full answer is even more interesting than the laugh itself. First of all, there are many solutions, and we'll try to find the best solution. Tomorrow on the pitch, we will perform as a unit. We will try to make good passes and press high. We can talk a lot, but in the end, we have to perform on the pitch. No secret formula, no tactical trapdoor pulled from 100 hours of hidden film study. Just the plain, uncomfortable truth. You cannot talk your way past Messi. You can only try to survive him, together, for 90 straight minutes, and hope the unit holds in the moment a single man would break alone. Because here's what makes Messi different from every other problem a coach has ever had to solve. You can map every run Julian Alvarez makes. You can chart every overlapping run from the Argentine fullbacks. You can plan Lautaro Martinez's movement down to the exact yard of grass. And none of it protects you from the 1 second Messi decides the entire game needs to be rewritten. He's been doing this for 20 years. He's broken perfect defensive plans before they even got the chance to work. And at 39 years old, in this tournament, he isn't slowing down. He's doing it more than ever. 8 goals, 5 matches. At an age when most players have already retired or landed behind a desk or moved into commentary booths talking about players who are still out there playing. Messi is doing this on the largest stage in world sport, against the best defenses on the planet, and still finding a way through. That is the mountain standing in front of Murat Yakin on Saturday. And in a quieter moment, away from the confidence and the sharp one-liners, he admitted just how much that mountain weighs. We tried everything we could to get him back in peak form. Momentum was on his side, and there was so much joy when he plays, and he has his teammates by his side. Everything worked out so well for him until now. Until now. 2 words. And they might be the most dangerous thing Murat Yakin has said all week, because hidden inside that quiet, almost admiring sentence is a promise. Everything has worked out for Messi. Until now. Not forever. Not tonight necessarily, but until now. That's not disrespect toward a legend. It's the opposite. It's a man who has clearly spent hours studying exactly how brilliant Messi has been this tournament, admiring it almost against his own will, and still finding one thread of belief to hang his entire nation's hopes on. Humble enough to admit how good Messi has been. Not small enough to accept that it has to stay that way for one more night. And this isn't one coach standing alone. Midfielder Djibril Sow said it himself after the win over Colombia that got Switzerland here in the first place. For us, this is a very special match. I think it's going to be very difficult, but I see chances to win. We're capable of beating great teams like we've done in recent years. He's talking about 2021, beating France, the reigning world champions at the time, at the European Championship. Switzerland has stared a champion in the eye before and walked away with the result. Not against Argentina, not with Messi across from them. But it's not folklore, it's history they can point to with their own hands. So what actually happens on the pitch Saturday? Not chaos. Not a team trying to trade punches out in the open with the most dangerous attack left in the tournament. Discipline. A backline built around Manuel Akanji, designed to stay compact, force Argentina wide, and choke off the exact pockets of space where Messi does his quietest, most devastating work. And the second the ball is won back, Granit Xhaka becomes the trigger, the captain who, Yakin says, was talking about reaching a World Cup final years before anyone else in that locker room believed it was possible. Quick, vertical, ruthless. Hit the world champions before they can reset. It's the exact blueprint Cape Verde and Egypt each used to push Argentina to the very edge of elimination. Stay solid. Make it uncomfortable. Wait for the crack. The only difference now is Switzerland gets to study the tape of both near misses before they walk out to write their own. And it goes deeper than shape and structure. Reports from inside the camp say Yakin has been running his players through scrimmages with the numbers deliberately uneven, 11 against 10, 11 against 9, even 11 against 8, preparing his team for the possibility of playing a man down and still finding a way to survive. Goalkeeper Gregor Kobel has reportedly been putting in up to 2 hours a day on penalty practice alone. Not because Yakin is predicting a shootout, because he refuses to let this match come down to a scenario his team hasn't already rehearsed. That's not a coach hoping for the best. That's a coach who has tried to remove hope from the equation entirely. Murat Yakin knows this match will demand suffering. He knows Argentina will likely have more of the ball, more of the rhythm, more of the moments where a stadium rises to its feet for the other side. He knows Messi could still, in a single second, do something no scouting report on Earth predicted. But he also knows the scoreboard is the only thing that decides how this night gets remembered, and he did not fly to Kansas City for a moral victory. For a nation like Switzerland, there's nothing better than playing a World Cup quarterfinal against Argentina. Not a burden, not an obligation carried out of politeness. An opportunity, and one he intends to actually take, not just admire from a safe distance. 72 years since Switzerland last stood on a stage this big. 2 matches in a row where the reigning world champions have stared elimination directly in the face. And one word, from one Swiss manager, that the entire football world cannot stop repeating. Vulnerable. Saturday night in Kansas City, Argentina brings the crest, the history, and the greatest player who has ever lived. Switzerland brings a coach who looked straight at all of it and laughed, not out of fear, but because for the first time in 72 years, they finally believe they belong in the room. Whatever happens on the scoreboard, this much is already true before kickoff. Murat Yakin didn't walk into this week to admire the champions from a distance. He walked in to challenge them, out loud, on the record, with the entire football world listening. 72 years of waiting comes down to 90 minutes. And for once, the team walking in as the underdog is the one who got the last word before the whistle.